The woman's voice rang out sharply, echoing through the upscale boutique and drawing every eye in the room. "I'm telling you, she doesn't belong here," Marjorie Klein barked as she jabbed a finger toward the young girl, her tone dripping with condescension. Her words, aimed at the store manager and the surrounding customers alike, created a sudden commotion. Shoppers froze, their eyes darting between Marjorie and the girl, unsure of what to do. Yet the girl, Sierra Delgado, a confident 17-year-old with a keen sense of style and self-assurance, stood tall. Her eyes remained locked on Marjorie, undaunted by the humiliation thrust upon her in front of everyone. Little did Marjorie know that the truth she was about to learn would shatter her smug confidence in an instant. Sierra had entered the boutique that afternoon with nothing more than a simple mission: to find a dress for a special event her father was hosting later that week. It was a proud moment for her, a chance to shop independently in a store known for its designer labels and refined ambience. Born and raised in Miami by Diego Delgado, a respected entrepreneur who owned several high-end retail outlets across the city, Sierra had always admired the elegance of the boutique's meticulously arranged racks and its artful displays. Today, however, what had begun as a routine shopping trip was rapidly devolving into an ordeal. Marjorie, a longtime regular whose haughty air and imperious manner had earned her a reputation among the store's frequent visitors, was convinced that Sierra was out of place. "She's clearly just here to cause trouble," Marjorie muttered under her breath as she stalked through the aisles. When Sierra stepped into one of the lavish fitting rooms with a gorgeous dress clutched in her hands, a dress that Sierra had admired for its intricate embroidery and timeless design, Marjorie's eyes narrowed further. She followed the girl's progress with a level of scrutiny that bordered on obsession. Before long, Marjorie's simmering disdain boiled over. While other customers browsed quietly or admired the elegant decor, Marjorie made her discontent known. She confronted the boutique's manager, Ms. Jacqueline Hart, in a low, angry hiss. "I'm telling you, that girl doesn't belong in this store." Her accusation, framed as a matter of propriety and exclusivity, rippled through the room. Ms. Hart, who had only been with the boutique a few months, looked flustered as she attempted to diffuse the situation, her polite smile faltering under Marjorie's withering gaze. Sierra, however, remained unruffled. She continued her search for the perfect dress with quiet determination, as if Marjorie's spiteful remarks were nothing more than background noise. While many customers exchanged uneasy glances and whispered among themselves, Sierra's focus did not waver. She felt a swell of pride at the thought of finally choosing something on her own, something that would represent her unique style at the upcoming charity gala. But all the while, Marjorie's harsh words echoed in the air. Later, as Sierra browsed the racks once more, her eyes fell upon another dress, a stunning piece that seemed made for the occasion. With a bright smile, she reached for it, her heart lightened by the prospect of looking elegant for her father's event. Yet, in that same moment, Marjorie's voice rose again from somewhere in the crowd. "What is she doing here? They're really letting anyone in these days," Marjorie muttered loudly enough for several nearby shoppers to hear. A sharp gaze followed Sierra's every move, her judgment as relentless as it was unwarranted. Sierra's initial delight began to wane as she sensed the hostility mounting. When she stepped out of the fitting room to admire herself in the mirror, the dress fitting her perfectly and capturing her youthful elegance, Marjorie approached her with a forced smile. "That's a beautiful dress," she said, but the tone was unmistakably patronizing. Sierra, maintaining her polite demeanor, replied, "Thank you. I think it's perfect for the gala." Yet Marjorie was not satisfied. "Are you sure you're in the right store?" she demanded, her fake smile disappearing as she continued, "I just don't think you belong here." The remark drew murmurs from other customers, and Sierra felt a chill run down her spine. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to keep her composure. "I'm exactly where I need to be," she responded calmly, though her voice trembled ever so slightly with the sting of the insult. Marjorie scoffed and with a dismissive shake of her head turned away, at least for a moment. Yet the tension in the boutique was palpable, and it wasn't long before Marjorie's disdain escalated further. As Sierra continued her shopping, a bystander's comment quickly spread through the store. "That girl is clearly causing a scene." Another shopper whispered, "She must be up to no good, sneaking in here like that." The atmosphere grew increasingly charged, until finally Marjorie flagged down the store manager. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "I've been watching her. and I'm pretty sure she's been acting suspiciously. I bet she didn't even come here to buy anything." Miss Hart's face flushed with discomfort as she hesitated, glancing uncertainly between Marjorie and Sierra. "What seems to be the problem, Mrs. Klein?" she asked hesitantly. "That girl is acting odd. She must be hiding something," Marjorie snapped, her finger wagging pointedly at Sierra. Sierra's heart sank as the manager looked at her with a mixture of sympathy and uncertainty. "I haven't done anything wrong," Sierra said calmly, her voice steady despite the rising tension. "If you have an issue, perhaps you should take it up with someone in charge." But Marjorie was relentless. "Then why are you so defensive?" she demanded loudly, drawing the attention of everyone in the boutique. "People like you are good at hiding things," Marjorie added with venom, her words hanging in the air like a poisonous cloud. Before Sierra could respond further, the store manager's assistant, a timid young woman named Carla, stepped forward with the customer list in hand. "Let me check, please," Carla offered softly, trying to mediate the situation. Marjorie's eyes narrowed as she barked. "I'm telling you she's up to no good." Carla hesitated, scanning the list, but found nothing incriminating. "There's nothing here, Mrs. Klein," she said apologetically. At that moment, a murmur of disbelief rippled among the other shoppers. Sierra, determined not to be intimidated, took a deep breath and spoke with quiet resolve. "I assure you, I have done nothing wrong. I came here to shop for a dress, nothing more." Her voice, although measured, carried the weight of dignity that seemed to challenge Marjorie's baseless accusations. Marjorie's face contorted with anger, and she turned to the manager again. "This store is for respectable clients," she snapped. "You know exactly who belongs here, and clearly this girl does not." Her tone was harsh and uncompromising, causing a ripple of shocked silence to fall over the room. Some customers whispered their disapproval, while others looked on, uncertain whether to intervene. Then, as if the situation could not worsen, Marjorie's anger burst forth in a physical act. Without warning, she raised her hand and struck Sierra across the face with a resounding slap that echoed through the boutique. The sound of the blow reverberated in the stunned silence that followed, and for a heartbeat, time seemed to freeze. Shoppers gasped, and the room fell into an eerie quiet. Sierra stood frozen, her cheek stinging and her eyes wide with shock. Yet, even as tears began to form at the corners of her eyes, she did not retaliate. Instead, she maintained a calm, resolute gaze that conveyed both heartbreak and a defiant strength. "You just made the worst mistake of your life," Sierra said quietly, her voice low and steady, each word imbued with an authority that belied her tender age. Her words sent a chill through Marjorie, whose confident expression wavered momentarily as she realized that her baseless accusations were unraveling before the eyes of the entire store. In the ensuing moments, whispers spread among the customers. One well-dressed gentleman leaned toward his companion and murmured, "She's standing up for herself. How brave." Another shopper shook her head in disbelief, her eyes filled with quiet indignation. The store manager, visibly flustered, approached cautiously. "Perhaps we should take a moment to calm down," she suggested softly, but Marjorie was not ready to relent. "No, this isn't over," Marjorie snapped. "I demand that you check that girl's bag immediately. I'm sure she's hiding something." The manager's face grew pale as she turned to Sierra. "Is there any truth to these accusations?" she asked, her tone tentative. Sierra, her voice trembling only slightly with the weight of the moment, replied, "I haven't taken or hidden anything. I simply came here to shop." The manager hesitated, then reluctantly signaled for a junior staff member to check Sierra's bag. With careful, measured steps, the assistant opened the bag and examined its contents. After a long, tense moment, the assistant's expression softened. "There's nothing here," she said quietly, returning the bag to Sierra with a meek apology. Marjorie's face flushed with anger and humiliation. "Then why are you being so defensive?" she demanded once more, her voice rising, drawing the attention of every customer in the boutique. "Maybe you're just trying to sneak in for a free upgrade," she hissed, the words dripping with contempt. Sierra's eyes narrowed, and with a quiet, measured tone, she said, "I will not be bullied into feeling ashamed of who I am. I belong here, and I have every right to be treated with respect." At that, a murmur of approval rippled through the crowd, Some customers began to exchange supportive glances with Sierra, while others, clearly moved by her dignified resistance, whispered words of encouragement. The store manager, her face now a mixture of regret and resolve, attempted once more to restore order. "Perhaps we should let this matter rest," she said softly, addressing both Marjorie and Sierra. "I apologize for any inconvenience, but I must insist that we maintain a respectful environment." Marjorie, however, was not finished. With a sneer curling her lips, she turned toward a nearby customer and whispered loudly enough for several others to hear, "This is why stores like this need stricter policies. We can't just let anyone walk in." Her words, intended to reinforce her prejudiced stance, only deepened the disquiet among the onlookers. Sierra's eyes shone with quiet defiance as she looked straight at Marjorie and replied, "Your judgment does not define me, and your prejudice has no place here." Just then, a low rumble of an engine interrupted the tense atmosphere. Outside the boutique, a sleek black SUV pulled up at the curb, its tinted windows gleaming in the afternoon sun. The sound of the vehicle's door opening drew every eye to the entrance. A tall, imposing figure stepped out first. A burly bodyguard in a crisp suit with an earpiece, his eyes scanning the scene with professional intensity. Moments later, another figure emerged. Andrew Reynolds, a distinguished man in his early 40s with a commanding presence. His tailored suit hugged his broad frame perfectly, and his polished shoes clicked authoritatively against the pavement as he strode toward the boutique. His calm, measured steps brought an almost tangible sense of authority that immediately silenced the murmurs among the customers. "Excuse me," Andrew said in a firm yet measured tone as he approached the store manager, who was now visibly flustered. "I believe I need to address this situation personally." His deep, resonant voice carried over the hushed crowd, drawing even Marjorie's attention. The manager stuttered an apology as she attempted to explain, but Andrew raised a hand to silence her. "I have been informed of some troubling behavior in my establishment," he continued, his gaze shifting toward Marjorie, whose face had turned a deep shade of red. "I will not tolerate false accusations or disrespect toward any of our customers." At that moment, Nathan Delgado, a composed and well-respected entrepreneur in his mid-40s, and, as it turned out, the father of Sierra Delgado, stepped forward from among the gathering onlookers. His eyes, filled with quiet determination, locked onto Marjorie. "What is going on here?" he demanded, his tone calm but laced with authority that silenced even the most boisterous whispers. Marjorie's smug expression faltered as she struggled to form a response. I was only trying to protect the store's reputation," she stammered, but Nathan's steady gaze told her that her excuses were falling flat. Nathan continued, "My daughter has every right to be here and she deserves to be treated with respect. If you have any issues, I suggest you take them up with someone who can prove otherwise." His words, delivered with unyielding conviction, struck the room like a clarion call. The onlookers watched in stunned silence as Nathan's protective presence enveloped Sierra, affirming her right to dignity and self-respect. Marjorie's eyes darted nervously as she realized that her own behavior was being called into question. "You're just causing a scene," she muttered under her breath, but Nathan's next words cut through her defiance like a knife. "You're not just causing a scene," he said firmly. "You're revealing your own prejudices and unworthiness." With that, he turned to the store manager and said, "I expect a full apology from you if you have failed to protect my daughter's right to shop in peace." The manager's face paled further, and she murmured an apology that was more a plea for calm than an admission of guilt. Despite the tension, Sierra maintained her composure. With her head held high and her eyes unflinching, she addressed the room in a clear, steady voice. "I am here to shop, just as every customer is. I will not allow baseless accusations or prejudice to define my experience today. I deserve to be treated with respect, just as every person in this store does." Her words resonated with a quiet power that began to turn the tide of opinion among the remaining customers. Some nodded in agreement, while others offered supportive smiles. Marjorie, now visibly shaken and facing the combined weight of public disapproval and Nathan's unwavering stance, attempted to protest one last time. "I'm just trying to protect this store's reputation," she insisted, but her voice wavered as she realized that no one was backing her up. With a final derisive glance at Sierra, she turned on her heel and, with a scoff that carried both humiliation and bitterness, stormed out of the boutique. A heavy silence fell over the room. The store manager quickly tried to restore order, apologizing profusely to the customers for the disturbance. Nathan moved to comfort his daughter, placing a reassuring arm around Sierra as she gathered her belongings. "You handled this with dignity and grace," he said softly, his voice filled with pride. "Never let anyone make you feel less than you are." Sierra managed a small, brave smile in response, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured, her voice steady despite the turmoil of the past few minutes. As the scene slowly settled, Andrew Reynolds addressed the assembled crowd with a measured tone that carried an unmistakable message. "At this boutique, as in all my establishments, we are committed to ensuring that every individual is treated with the respect and dignity they deserve," he said, his eyes scanning the room with a mix of determination and compassion. "Let this serve as a reminder that prejudice has no place here, and that those who attempt to sow division will be held accountable." His words, delivered with quiet authority, were met with a wave of murmurs and nods of approval. In the aftermath, the story of what had transpired spread quickly beyond the walls of the boutique. Social media erupted with hashtags such as "respect for all" and "stand up for dignity." And countless people shared their own experiences of being judged or mistreated in similar ways. Sierra's courage and calm under pressure became a symbol of hope and resilience for many, while Nathan's decisive intervention was hailed as a powerful example of parental love and unwavering support. Marjorie's behavior, on the other hand, was widely condemned as a stark reminder of the harm that unchecked prejudice can cause. Over the following days, as the boutique resumed its business, the incident continued to resonate with the community. Customers who had witnessed the confrontation spoke in hushed tones about the importance of standing up against injustice and treating others with kindness. The store manager, deeply affected by the events, instituted new training sessions for her staff, emphasizing the need for empathy and respect in every interaction. And Nathan, ever the supportive father, made sure that Sierra was shielded from any further harassment, encouraging her to remain proud of who she was. Later that afternoon, while waiting in the parking lot outside the boutique, Sierra pulled out her phone and sent a quick message to her father. "Dad, I need you to come to the store. They're still talking about what happened," she wrote, her fingers trembling slightly as she typed. Nathan's reply was immediate and filled with concern. "I'm on my way, sweetheart. Stay strong." As he drove up in his sleek sedan, Nathan's mind replayed the events in vivid detail. Each word, each gesture, and the unyielding determination that had shone in his daughter's eyes. He knew that moments like these, though painful, were also a testament to the strength that could be forged in the fires of adversity. When Nathan arrived at the boutique, he was greeted by a flurry of sympathetic looks from both staff and customers. The store manager approached him with a bowed head and stammered, "Mr. Delgado, I'm so sorry. I assure you this will never happen again." Nathan nodded curtly, his eyes softening as he glanced at Sierra, who was sitting quietly near the entrance. "I expect better," he said firmly, his tone leaving no room for doubt. "Every customer, regardless of appearance or background, deserves to be treated with the utmost respect." With that, he escorted Sierra back into the boutique, his protective presence, an unspoken promise that he would always stand up for her. In the days that followed, the incident became a turning point, not only for the boutique but also for the community at large. News outlets picked up the story, praising Sierra's poise under pressure and condemning the baseless accusations that had been hurled at her. Social media buzzed with accounts of the event, and hashtags such as "Dignity for Sierra" and "No to Prejudice" spread quickly. For many, the episode was a powerful reminder that standing up for one's rights was not only necessary, but also a catalyst for positive change. As time passed, Sierra grew more confident in herself. The humiliation she had suffered that day, though painful, had also become a source of inner strength. She began speaking out, first in small group meetings and then at local community events, about the importance of dignity and respect for every individual. Her message resonated with countless young people who had faced similar challenges, and soon she became a local symbol of resilience. Nathan, always supportive, continued to encourage her, reminding her that her worth was not determined by the narrow judgments of others, but by the strength of her character and the compassion in her heart. One breezy summer evening, as the golden light of dusk filtered through the windows of their modest family home, Nathan and Sierra sat on the back porch, reflecting on the recent events. "You handled that situation with such grace," Nathan said quietly, his eyes filled with pride and admiration. Sierra looked down at her hands and then back up into her father's gentle gaze. "I just wish people would understand that my worth isn't measured by some baseless accusation. It's measured on the measure of my worth," she replied softly, her voice steadied despite the lingering hurt. "I belong here just as much as anyone else, and I won't let anyone tell me otherwise." Nathan squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Remember, sweetheart, the strength you have shown today will carry you through every storm. Always stand up for who you are and never let anyone diminish your light." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle knock at the door, a neighbor stopping by to offer words of encouragement. As more neighbors gathered, sharing their own stories of overcoming adversity, Sierra's confidence grew even stronger. In that moment, she realized that the pain of that day had not broken her. Rather, it had forged a determination that would drive her to create change. She decided then that she would channel her experience into something meaningful. A campaign to ensure that every person, regardless of their background, was treated with the respect they deserved. Over the following months, Sierra organized community forums and youth empowerment workshops, speaking passionately about the need for empathy, fairness, and the courage to stand up against prejudice. With Nathan's support, she launched a local initiative called Respect is Our Right, which partnered with schools, local businesses, and advocacy groups to educate people on the importance of dignity in everyday interactions. The initiative quickly garnered widespread support, and Sierra's story of a young woman who had endured public humiliation yet emerged stronger became a rallying cry for those who had long felt marginalized. In a candid interview on a popular local news channel, Sierra explained, "I was just shopping for a dress that day, expecting nothing more than a quiet experience. But when someone tried to humiliate me for simply being who I am, I realized that I couldn't let that stand. Every time you let prejudice win, you take away a little bit of your own light. I want everyone to know that we all deserve respect, no matter our background, our skin color, or where we come from." Her words struck a chord with viewers across the region, and soon the hashtag #RespectIsOurRight was trending on social media platforms, with thousands sharing their own stories of overcoming discrimination. Nathan, too, found his own voice amid the controversy. In public statements and interviews, he spoke about the importance of protecting one's family and standing up for what was right. "Our community is built on the foundation of respect and dignity," he said during one interview. "When we allow prejudice to go unchecked, we not only harm individuals, but also weaken the bonds that hold our society together. I am proud of my daughter for showing us all that true strength comes from within, and that every person has the right to be treated with fairness." As the seasons changed and the city of Miami blossomed with new energy, the incident at the boutique gradually became a catalyst for wider change. The store itself, once marred by controversy, began to implement new policies designed to foster an environment of inclusivity and respect. Staff received additional training on cultural sensitivity and conflict resolution, and the management made a public commitment to ensuring that every customer was treated with the dignity they deserved. The changes were not immediate, but over time the store's atmosphere transformed. Where once there had been whispers of judgment and exclusion, there was now an air of genuine welcome and warmth. One day, several months after the incident, Sierra found herself back at the boutique, not as a target of prejudice, but as an invited guest at a special event celebrating diversity in fashion. The event, organized by the store in response to the public outcry, featured panels, runway shows, and interactive workshops on the importance of inclusivity in the fashion industry. As Sierra walked into the venue, her presence was met with smiles and nods of approval. The memory of that fateful day still lingered, but now it served as a reminder of how far she and her community had come. Standing on the stage during the event, Sierra addressed the crowd with a voice that was both tender and determined. "I once felt that I didn't belong, that my worth was defined by the narrow judgments of others," she said. "But today, I stand before you as a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of self-respect. We are all deserving of kindness, and together, we can create a world where no one is made to feel less than they are." The audience erupted into applause, and even Marjorie Klein, who had long since been dismissed from the boutique and faded from the public eye, seemed to be forgotten amid the rising tide of hope and unity. For Sierra, the journey had been painful, but it had also been transformative. Her strength in the face of adversity had not only reclaimed her dignity, but had sparked a movement for change. The lessons she had learned about standing up for oneself, about the inherent worth of every individual, and about the power of community, became the foundation upon which she built her future. In the months and years that followed, Sierra Delgado's name became synonymous with courage and compassion. Her efforts to promote respect and inclusivity in the fashion world inspired countless others, and she continued to use her voice to advocate for those who had been marginalized. Alongside her father, Diego Delgado, she helped establish scholarship funds, mentorship programs, and community outreach initiatives that provided opportunities for young people from all backgrounds to pursue their dreams. Their work was celebrated, not only in local newspapers and on television, but also on social media, where the hashtag #StandForRespect became a rallying cry for positive change. In quiet moments, when the bustle of public life subsided and Sierra found herself alone with her thoughts, she would often reflect on that pivotal day in the boutique. The memory of the harsh words, the unjust accusations, and the final moment when she bravely declared, "You are only showing everyone exactly who you are," remained etched in her heart. It was a memory that reminded her that no matter how deep the wounds of prejudice might cut, the healing power of dignity and self-respect could never be taken away. With every challenge she faced, Sierra grew more determined to ensure that no one else would have to endure such indignity in silence. As time passed, the legacy of that day rippled outward, touching lives in ways that even Sierra could scarcely have imagined. Young women, inspired by her example, began to speak out against discrimination in their own communities. Educational institutions invited her to share her story, and she found herself mentoring aspiring leaders who saw in her a reflection of their own struggles and aspirations. Her message was clear: true beauty and strength come not from conforming to narrow stereotypes, but from embracing one's unique identity and standing tall in the face of adversity. In one memorable public appearance at a major youth leadership conference, Sierra stood before a sea of faces and declared, "Every single person here has the right to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of who they are or where they come from. We cannot allow the ignorance and prejudice of a few to define us. Instead, we must rise together, celebrate our differences, and forge a future where every voice is heard." The words, delivered with passionate conviction, resonated deeply with the audience, and many left the conference inspired to create change in their own lives. Diego Delgado, ever the supportive father, continued to stand by his daughter's side as they navigated the challenges and triumphs of their new reality. In private moments, he would often reminisce about the early days of his own career, when he had faced similar obstacles and prejudices in the world of high-end retail. "I always believed that success was about more than just money," he once told Sierra during a quiet dinner at their home. "It's about the impact you have on the lives of others. Today, I see that impact in you every day." Sierra's eyes would fill with gratitude, and she would squeeze her father's hand in silent affirmation of their shared values. As the years continued to unfold, the story of Sierra Delgado's triumph over prejudice became a beacon of hope, not only for her community, but for people around the nation. Her journey, marked by resilience, self-respect, and the unwavering belief that every person deserves to be treated with kindness, was celebrated in countless articles, documentaries, and social media tributes. The once troubled boutique that had witnessed her confrontation transformed into a symbol of renewal and progress, a place where every customer was greeted with warmth and every employee was trained to uphold the highest standards of respect. In one final, poignant moment that encapsulated the entire journey, Sierra stood on the balcony of her newly renovated store as the sun set over the vibrant city skyline. The soft glow of the fading light bathed the scene in a gentle warmth that spoke of hope and new beginnings. With her eyes fixed on the horizon, Sierra reflected on the painful encounter that had once threatened to shatter her spirit. Instead, it had become the catalyst for a movement, one that would forever change the way people thought about respect, dignity, and the power of standing up for what is right. Sometimes, Sierra murmured to herself, the harshest moments in our lives reveal the truest strength within us. Today, I choose to let that strength guide me, to let my actions speak for the values I hold dear. I will continue to fight for justice, for equality, and for the right of every person to be seen and valued." In that quiet, introspective moment, the lessons of the past merged with the promise of the future, and Sierra knew that her journey was far from over. There would always be challenges to overcome, but with every step, she was paving the way for a more compassionate and inclusive world. And so, the story of Sierra Delgado, the young woman who had once been humiliated in a boutique for simply existing as herself, became a timeless reminder that dignity cannot be stripped away by ignorance and prejudice. It was a tale of resilience, of triumph over adversity, and of the transformative power of standing up for one's beliefs. In every interaction, whether it was in a bustling store or a quiet conversation, Sierra's unwavering strength shone through, inspiring others to rise above their circumstances and demand the respect they deserved. Her story, interwoven with the enduring love and support of her father, Diego Delgado, served as a testament to the belief that true family is not defined solely by blood, but by the bonds we choose to nurture with empathy, kindness, and unwavering support. As the years went by, Sierra and her father continued to build a legacy founded on these principles. A legacy that would leave an indelible mark on their community and serve as a beacon for future generations. In every warm smile exchanged between a customer and an employee, in every kind word spoken in the face of injustice, and in every moment when someone dared to stand up for what was right, the spirit of Sierra's journey lived on. It was a legacy that proved, beyond any doubt, that while prejudice might cast dark shadows, the light of true resilience and self-respect could ultimately dispel even the deepest darkness. Thus, the memory of that fateful day in the boutique became much more than a story of confrontation. It evolved into a rallying cry for justice and compassion, a reminder that every individual, regardless of their background, holds an inherent dignity that no one can take away. And as Sierra Delgado, with the steadfast support of her father, continued to lead by example, she transformed not only her own life, but also the lives of countless others who found hope in her courage. In the end, it was not the harsh words or the bitter accusations that defined Sierra's journey, but the unyielding strength with which she reclaimed her dignity. Her triumph over ignorance and prejudice was a quiet, powerful victory, a victory that affirmed the truth that every person deserves to be treated with respect and love. And as she moved forward, carrying the lessons of her past with her every day, Sierra knew that her future, and the future of those she inspired, would be one of endless possibility, built upon the foundation of empathy, resilience, and the transformative power of standing up for what is right.